My dad loves the car dealership. If you show up at one of his dealerships and if he's at that one, you will hear him because he's loud and he's excited, but he just loves it. It's this extension of himself. I always knew I wanted that. He's got a fire inside of him. He just loves this business. I had this dream to start something of my own. If you go out and fail, the marketplace isn't going to evaporate. You can go get another job. So I think that gave me confidence too to want to just go try it. There's this quote I like from Packard, whatever his first name is, but he says that most businesses die of indigestion rather than starvation. There's so many opportunities once you launch your business that most people get overwhelmed with them. When somebody's trying to find this perfect business idea, they think, what's going to be the easiest product or service to launch that'll earn me the most amount of money? And that's what they're scouring the market for. And the problem with that is the foundation of this business that they want to start is easy money, right?
Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Kitchen. Today I have a very special guest. I have Jason VanDevere, entrepreneur, real estate investor, and author of the book, Dream Driven, the step-by-step process to discover your perfect business idea and launch it this year. Jason, this is what people who are either in business, who are moved by a dream, who are dreaming of a business, this is the idea. So I'm so excited to have you here. Please let me know, what's your mission?
My mission is to give aspiring entrepreneurs the confidence to take the leap and get it started.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Yeah. I'm so happy to have you here. And I think your story really interested me because you come from a family, I think you'll give us the story, a family that has a business that you could have entered into that business, but you chose to go off on your own. And why? I'll let you tell me.
Yeah. So my dad is a car dealer. So I'm from Akron, Ohio. If you ever come here, you'll see our last name all over. VanDevere, Kia, VanDevere, Cadillac. They've got 5 dealerships. So I was supposed to take over the business. I would have been 4th generation. My great-grandpa started the business. But it didn't align with a passion of mine. I had worked there for a number of years. I was working in every department so I could learn the whole business and one day take it over. But it just didn't get me excited. And everyone told me that it was a crazy idea to leave because I was good at it. It aligned with my natural skill set. But I had this dream to start something of my own. Specifically, I had a dream to design a planner of my own. Crazy, weird dream. But I just wanted to go after it. Turned down the opportunity, left with basically nothing, a little bit of money, bunch of fears, no clue what I was doing, and just dove into entrepreneurship.
Is there a moment, because you were okay with learning the business, was there a moment where you said, this is not for me? Or what was not for you?
So I'm going to give you 2 maybe moments or things. Is when I was still working at the dealership, I bought my first rental property. And I love talking about real estate. So now I've bought more and I really enjoy that business. But if I meet somebody who has real estate, I could talk to them for hours about real estate. But then if I met somebody who worked in the car business or even other car dealers' sons who were basically in the same spot as me, I knew how to talk about the car business, but there wasn't a fire inside of me that made me want to talk about it. It was just work. And I would say when I got that rental property, I started to realize, wow, this is how much fun I could have with my own business that I'm not having at the dealership. And I would say the second thing is my dad loves the car dealership. If you show up at one of his dealerships and if he's at that one, you will hear him because he's loud and he's excited, but he just loves it. It's this extension of himself. And he has healthy boundaries for his business so it doesn't overtake his life, but he really enjoys the work. And I would say seeing him, it was like I always knew I wanted that. I wanted, like, he's got a fire inside of him. He just loves this business, but I knew I was not going to have that for the car business. So strangely enough, seeing that gave me confidence to leave because I knew that was possible for me to have and I wouldn't have it at the business. But it also made it harder because me and my dad are very similar and it seemed like he loves it. Why aren't I loving it? So maybe you found the answer somewhere in those 2 things.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can somehow relate to it. Maybe not having the business, but that sense of being at a job and there's no passion in it for you. It's just work and being in search of that passion. And also as an entrepreneur wanting to build, that desire to build something of your own. So now, like you said, a whole lot of fears and you stepped into your own thing. How did you land on the planner? Why was that the first thing?
I like planners, and maybe that desire started. I was going through all these different departments. That was part of my dad's plan is I had to work in every department for about a year, 6 months to a year to learn the whole business. And because of that, I had to get really good at learning quickly. So I was getting these planners because whenever I went to a new department, I wanted to understand what are the goals of the department? What are the successful behaviors I need to be doing every single day so I can hit those goals? And I needed a good planner to help me accomplish this and learn it in a short amount of time. And I feel like I was trying all these different planners out there. They all had the right, I'm going to call them keywords. Like when I would search for them, they told me they were kind of do exactly what I wanted, but they would just let me down. And it seemed like all these self-help books had these consistent principles that they were saying, here's the things you need to do. Or I would go to conferences and they would say, here's the things you need to do. And I just wanted a planner that put it all together. If I follow this planner, if I use this system, I will reach my goals. And I wasn't able to find that. And it just felt fun to do it. I would say now planners are like the hot trendy product to have. All these authors are launching planners. But back 2018, when I was launching this, planners were not the trendy thing to be launching. Everyone was like, that's a terrible idea. It's a paper product. That's time thing of the past. You should launch an app. And I just wanted to do it. They said.
What was the time frame from, okay, you stepped up and said, okay, I love the business is good for the family, but it's not for me, I'm stepping out on my own, to, okay, now what do I do? And to landing on the planner as the first product.
Probably like in the middle of 2018, I decided I wanted to leave the business, and I told my dad that. And at that point, I had already landed on the planner idea. But when I met with him, I didn't know what the planner was going to be called, what the design was going to look like, how I was going to get them made, how I was going to sell them. I had no experience in e-commerce. He rightfully told me, like, I think that's a crazy idea. Now, he's been extremely supportive, but it's like I had no clue what I was doing. It was just, this is what I want to do. And at that point, I had the confidence to say, I know it's not going to be the dealership. And this, not everyone will be able to relate to this exact thing, but in a way, I have an amazing plan B option. If I go out and fail, if I started my business and failed, I could go back and be on the trajectory to be a car dealer within several years. That's a phenomenal opportunity that most people don't have. So I might as well go out and just give it everything I have. Because if I fail, I can still fall back on this. And I think people might not be able to relate to that same situation, but you can get another job. If you go out and fail, the marketplace shouldn't go away. The marketplace isn't going to evaporate. You can go get another job. So I think that gave me confidence too to want to just go try it. So timeline of that. So then I left at the end of 2019. I spent 6 months just interviewing successful entrepreneurs, learning how they set their goals, how they tracked their goals, how they held themselves accountable. I made these designs. I then started hosting focus groups. I did maybe about 7 focus groups, which we can talk about that. Huge fan of doing this if you're ever going to launch a product. But then I didn't launch until July of 2019. So it took me, by the time I left my job, it took me about 7 months to get this thing designed and ready to sell.
I'm thinking to myself, to someone who hears a planner, which I'm sure, like you said, your dad was like, planner, what are you talking about? They're hearing planner, they don't see the success. You've made this into $1 million planner. Most people wouldn't see that pathway. And I'm thinking, for you, did you see that when you started the planner? Did you think about the ecosystem? Because people are thinking about planning to leave a job. How am I going to make enough money to support the way I'm living?
So I would say I thought I saw the pathway. I thought I was going to launch my planner and be like crazy rich in a couple months. That didn't happen. And I would say, praise God, it didn't happen. It took me about 2 years of struggle, but I needed that. Now looking back, I can say that. So I would say maybe I thought I saw the pathway, but it wasn't the pathway of what I thought. Now, I thought I would just launch the planner and sell tons of them, and it would make me all this money. I had no idea that the planner would open up these other doors because I started selling the planners, and for years, that's all I was doing. And then I kept having customers reaching out. They wanted more. They wanted coaching. They wanted workshops, different things. So eventually I started hosting workshops, and then I started recording things and making them courses. And then I started coaching people, and I launched a podcast. And most recently, I wrote a book. So I had no clue all of that existed on the back end of a planner, but it was like, those were all things I would have loved to do. I just thought that was going to be 20 years in the future. And all of a sudden, that planner was, these opportunities started coming way quicker than I thought. and maybe even what I was ready for, because it took me a while to start saying yes to them. But there was a lot of opportunity on the backside of a planner. And I'm going to add one more thing. I think that's with most businesses. I think once you start your business, there's a lot of opportunities on the back end. There's this quote I like from Packard, whatever his first name is, but he says that most businesses die of indigestion rather than starvation. There's so many opportunities once you launch your business that most people get overwhelmed with them. They try and do too much and they crumble. And I think once you start your business, you're going to realize opportunities are on the back end. And maybe you've seen that with your own experience.
I love that. I think that's what I was trying to get to, that now it is that you've built this ecosystem around this product. But to the person who's starting, and I think people sometimes resist that, oh no, I got to start with something big. I got to start with something grand. And I'm happy to have you talk about how practically you build a dream business, and that it's such a practical path that sometimes people don't want the practical path.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I think it takes a level of craziness. Like the name of my planner was Goal Crazy. Like when you're starting a business, I felt like it was a crazy idea. People were telling me it was a crazy idea. But then I realized all the entrepreneurs I was interviewing, they felt crazy too, but they went after what they really wanted rather than what was like determined by the market as this is a safe idea. It's nope, this is what I want to do. I'm going all in and I'm going after it.
Okay. So you've got this framework. Take us into the book a little bit, because you've got the dream-driven framework and you've seen thousands of people apply it. What would you think are some of the misconceptions that people have? I think we hit on one of them where it's like, hey, I got to start with something big. And start with a concept, start with something and get some traction with that thing. But I'll let you speak upon that.
Yeah. So I think the biggest misconception when somebody is wanting to start a business is they go after what I call the easy money route. And I'm going to compare like the easy money route to the dream-driven route. But easy money route, when somebody's trying to find this perfect business idea, they think, what's going to be the easiest product or service to launch that'll earn me the most amount of money? And that's what they're scouring the market for. And the problem with that is the foundation of this business that they want to start is easy money, right? That's what they're looking after. So if either of those components ever disappear, either the easy part or the money part disappear, they're going to give up. And in my experience of starting a business, it is hard. It's just hard. I've interviewed over 100 entrepreneurs on my podcast. I know you've talked with a lot of entrepreneurs. I've never met someone who was like, the whole thing's been a breeze for me. It's just hard, right? And if you don't have this big desire inside of you to make it succeed, when you run into those challenges, you're going to quit. If the challenge is greater than the desire, you're just going to quit and go somewhere else. But a dream-driven approach is rather than scouring the market for this perfect product or service, you scour your heart to figure out, what do you really want to do with your life? What's the dream that's going to light a fire inside of you that gives you so much desire that you can keep overcoming these different challenges because you're willing to do it? Like my planner, people were right. It was a crazy idea. It was super competitive. It wasn't a growing market at the time. I had no clue what I was doing. They were right that it was crazy. But my fire inside of me was huge compared to those challenges. So I was willing to go years of struggling, living on peanut butter to get this to work because I wanted to see it succeed. Now I've learned better routes of starting a business, so hopefully you don't have to go through that phase of struggle so long. But you need to be prepared for challenges. So I would encourage somebody that the approach I would take is figure out what's the dream that's going to light a fire inside of you. That's what's going to increase your chances of success and make it fun.
Hey, small business family, quick pause here. If you've been listening and thinking, I need help getting clear on my message and how to actually market this amazing thing I've created, I've made something just for you. It's called the Clarity Intensive, and it's 2 focused sessions, one-on-one, where we untangle your ideas, map out your next best move, and build a foundation for real business momentum. If you're done thinking what's the right thing to do, and you're ready for a customized strategy that fits you, this is for you. You'll find the link in the show notes, or you can visit the website www.reinventingperspectives.com/shop, and you'll see our Clarity Intensive 1-to-1 marketing coaching. Let's get back to the show. It's so true. And then you've got the triple L framework. Maybe guide us through that. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you find this idea, my book will guide you through a lot of that. And if we want, we can even get into figuring out these business ideas. Once you do it, we have to validate that it's actually a good business idea. And I'm going to break validation into two different parts. The first is we need to validate that this is the right business idea for you. Is the fire big enough? And then after we validate, yes, that is, then we need to validate in the market that they actually want this. So the Triple L framework is going to help you validate, is this the right business idea for you? And those three L's are first, you need to make sure that you have a longing for this business idea. Like you need to have a big desire. And how I test this out with people is it needs to pass what I call the first alarm test. When your first alarm goes off, are you willing to get out of bed and start working on this dream? If the answer is no, then you need to find something that you want more, right? The second L is this needs to be lifting. This business should make you a better version of yourself. It should lift you to the next level. And there's this quote I really like that I feel like just captures this is Tony Robbins says, it's not about the goal. It's about growing to become the person who can achieve the goal. And this business idea, this should be a business idea that's so big you can't achieve it right now. Starting this business is outside of your current abilities. The only way you're going to achieve it is if you force yourself to improve, right? This should make you a better version of yourself. Because if you already know how to start it, that's not even a goal, right? That's not a goal. That would be a to-do list item. I want this to be something that's actually a goal that will stretch you. So you've got longing, it's lifting, and the third thing is it's light. And this is a little more of an internal feeling. Does the idea of starting this business feel light or does it feel heavy? And typically people can gauge that. Like for me, working at our family business, that was a very straight path to success. My family's done it 3 generations. I'll be the 4th one, but it felt heavy. However, the idea of starting a planner business, when I had no clue what I was doing, I was going to work ridiculous hours, put all of my life savings that I had at the time into planners, crazy planners. It felt light. It felt fun. So I would say if it has all 3 of those things, then you have validated that check it's the right business idea for you, and then you can move to the second part of validating it's the right fit for the market.
Maybe you can tell us a story to put everything together that you've mentioned in the 3L framework.
One of the ways I'm working with people to figure out their dream business ideas is I really encourage people to dream every single day. So I do this every morning. I go into my basement, I put on some music that uplifts me, and I simply dream about the life I want. Now, dreams are different from goals. Dreams I view as things like you don't have to actually do them. You're just asking yourself, what would I love to do with my life? Versus goals are things that you must do. They should be realistic. They should be time bound. So over 10 minutes, I'm just letting my mind dream every day. And this helps give me clarity on what I really want. So I had a client, he'd been dreaming every day because that's what I told him to do. And actually, when I was working with him, he was in the process of wanting to start 2 businesses. He had a self-service, home service business. And then he also had this nonprofit business that he was really excited about. But when he started working with me, he actually thought, hey, I wanted my help to help him grow his home service business. But as he started dreaming every single day, he realized all he ever dreamed about was this nonprofit. Growing that, it had so much longing behind it. If he kept dreaming every day about his home service business, it clarified for him there's not that big of a longing. Those dreams get old. The other one was lifting. It would stretch him at his comfort zone, and it felt light. So because of that, it gave him the clarity to be like, nope, I'm going to stop putting effort into my home service business, and I'm going all in on this nonprofit. Makes sense there?
Yes. Now, it's interesting because a lot of times we think you can build a career to the point that then you realize, oh, I didn't actually want this. I thought I wanted it. But we often don't talk about that in business, where you can build in business and go through all the struggles and build this thing and realize, I actually didn't want this.
I completely agree. And that's like the easy money versus the dream-driven approach. The easy money approach, all somebody ends up doing is they create another job for themselves. Most time it's work that they don't love, but they're just doing it because they believe it will pay them money. And it's like right now, starting a business, it's the opportunity to make something completely new, however you want. So don't go out there and just make another job that you hate just to earn a paycheck. Find the thing that's going to light fire inside of you.
We often think that just being an entrepreneur is the freedom. And it's also about the process of building. When we spoke in the beginning that you felt the need to build something for yourself. And I like that you said something that would feel light for you. And it's very difficult to build a business. And you talk about the realities of building a business, how a lot of times businesses fail. and to keep pushing, to innovate, to be creative, to do all those things, I think your framework ties that all. It's got to be something you love. It's got to be something that's big. It's got to be something that's new. It's got to be something that feels fresh. Thank you for sharing that. I'd love to hear from you what you would say to the entrepreneur who's in a job, who's feeling they want to chase a dream.
Would this be an entrepreneur who has a business idea already or doesn't have a business idea?
I don't like this job. I need a business. I want to start a business. Most people feel that way. I want to start a business. And so you start piecing together, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do that? Can I do that? And I think that's where your framework goes well.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go back to the dreaming every single day. Dreaming every single day, I believe it'll change your life. It's going to give you clarity on what you actually want to do. It's going to give you the motivation to actually follow through on it. And I think people don't give dreaming enough credit. As I talked about, dreams, like, they don't have to be realistic. They're things you may or may not actually do compared to goals that are a little different. But the thing is, when people stop dreaming, they can't have meaningful goals, because you can still set goals when you don't have dreams, but they're not aiming at anything bigger. If you do have dreams, you can have goals that are aiming towards those dreams. And I think a big trap people fall into these days is they stop dreaming. So then their goals, they're not aiming at anything. And when you don't have meaningful goals in your life, you end up in this place that I call survival mode. And lots of people who are at a job where they're not enjoying it, that is how they feel. They feel like they're in survival mode. They're just trying to stay afloat. And once you have this dream, it can give so much more purpose to the things you're doing. Even if you're going to stay in your job for a while, if you have this dream of, hey, here's the business I want to start, and I need this many dollars to get it started, now you're going to work every day, not just to clock in. You're going to work every day because you can see how what you're doing is directly connected to your dream life. And then it'll give you the confidence to actually leave your job. So I would start with dreaming every single day for 10 minutes. It'll completely change your life.
I recently posted something on LinkedIn. I was talking about AI and what it's going to do to the job market and how people have felt about the world of work since post-COVID. And it's just the perfect storm. It's the perfect storm for someone to be like, what am I dreaming to do? What's the dream that I have or that I used to have? Or let me start dreaming again. So that's why I was excited to speak to you, because I think it's timely.
Yeah, I'm glad.
If you could go back to yourself in 2018 and right before making the leap, what do you wish someone had told you?
That having challenges isn't a bad thing. It's going to be part of the process. My business is over the hump, I would say, of living in the state of struggle, but you still have challenges. And I think lots of aspiring entrepreneurs and current entrepreneurs, we dream of doing something great with our life. We want to live an epic life. But the thing is, you don't create an epic life by doing what's easy, right? You do that by doing what's hard. And if you're praying and dreaming about this epic life and all of a sudden these challenges start showing up, I want you to remind yourself, like, this is what you've been asking for, right? These challenges, they're not the obstacle or the enemy of you creating a successful life. They're the requirement. And you got to switch this mindset to, rather than viewing it as I'm overwhelmed or I'm stressed or my life is hard, this is what growth feels like. I tell myself that little sentence all the time. This is what growth feels like. When there's challenges, when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel stretched, that's what it feels like to grow. If you're not stretching yourself, then you're not growing. And I would say, like, those years of struggle that I went through, I wouldn't trade them for anything. I don't want to have to do them again, but that was the most growth I've ever gone through in a short amount of time. And I'm so grateful for it. So I would just tell myself, dive in.
The growth pains, they're good pains. No pain, no gain. You've got to have those growth pains. I love it. Now, I'm thinking, you mentioned that your business is over the hump. And for those who are listening, they're like, okay, I've started this business and it was my dream, but man, the struggle is just, and you said, okay, it's growth pains. This is what it is.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, okay, but tell me practically, Jason, like, what happened to go from struggle? What do you attribute coming out of struggle street to?
Yeah. So I got a piece of advice from a mentor, and he told me, Jason, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? So whenever you want to accomplish something, the easiest way to do it is find someone who's already accomplished it and ask them how they did it. Boom, there's your straight line. So if you're starting this business or growing your business, you need to make your number one goal, how can I talk to somebody who's already done what I want to do? If it's starting that type of business, you need to find business owners who are successful in that space and get yourself in front of them so you can ask them, how'd you do it? Or if there's somebody who they've got the next level business, you need to learn from them. What did you do to get from where I am to where you're at? And then you got to follow what it is that they tell you to do. But that was probably the biggest change for me, is I started to ask for help. And if you want to, I can go into different strategies of how I find those mentors, but I think that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, if we could go into that, there's nothing wrong with asking for help, especially people feel like in entrepreneurship, a lot of times it's a lot of, what's the word? It's like having your Sunday best, your entrepreneurship best.
Yeah, I think it's good to get rid of that mindset. Like, I think people want to wait till they're super successful and then go tell everybody they have a business, right? And then they want to stay closed. And that's what I was doing, and it didn't work very well. I needed to ask for help. But I think first place to start with is going to be your friends and family, right? Everybody should know that you're starting a business. Anybody that you know who has started a business similar to what you want to start, but that also won't be viewed as competition, right? If somebody was trying to start, let's say, a planner just like mine, and they reached out asking for help, it would be hard for me to give them the golden nuggets of what's really going to work. So you want somebody who's successful, but not going to be viewed as competition. Start with friends and family. Who do you know who's done it? Or who do you know who knows somebody who's done it? But if you don't have anybody there, probably ones that kind of push your comfort zone the most, but cold calling people. I have cold called many business owners. I will show up to their business. I will call them. I'll email them, and I'll ask them for help. And lots of times those calls don't go anywhere. They aren't helpful, but other times they're extremely helpful. For example, so I have these rental properties I've been buying on the side, and 2 years ago, there was a small mobile home park for sale in our area that caught my attention to buy. I knew nothing about mobile home parks. So I started calling all the other mobile home parks in the area and just asking, can I speak to the owner? I'm interested in buying this mobile home park, and I want to ask you some questions about how you run your business. Most of them told me just no, nicely or not nicely. They told me no. But I had 2 or 3 of them that were extremely nice. They were, hey, here's what you should be looking for. Hey, here's a contact of somebody who services that mobile home park for sale that we know. They gave me all these resources, and now that is an asset of people that I can call on if I have questions. I ended up not getting the mobile home park. Other things is you could look for other businesses for sale in your industry. Like, it would be amazing if you could sit down with a business owner in your niche and ask them line by line through their profit and loss, how they're getting those numbers. And you typically have that opportunity if somebody is selling their business. Now, I'd only do that if you're truly open to potentially buying a business. Like, when I first started wanting to grow my email list, I was trying to weigh out, go through the work of growing my own email list, or maybe do I want to find one that's in the same niche and just buy one that's already made? So I reached out to a bunch of people who had email lists and just was upfront. Hey, I'm deciding, do I want to build it or buy it? But it gave me the opportunity to sit down with people and ask them line by line, how are you doing this? Where are you getting these? How are you making your expenses this low? It's an incredibly powerful opportunity. I can keep going. I'll give you one more and you can cut me off whenever. The other is I would look for communities of these experts, whether it's Facebook groups, networking events, conferences for these specific type of owners. Strategy that I normally do, especially for an online one, is I'll post a question that I'm curious about, but it's easy for an expert to answer. For example, going back to that mobile home park, I found a forum with a bunch of mobile home park owners. So I put a question, hey, this park I'm looking at, I had a question about it. It's called a wastewater treatment plant, had a certain question about it, whatever. But once I put it in there, I had a handful of people respond. So then I responded to all of those owners and said, hey, thank you so much. By any chance, would you be willing to give me 10 to 15 minutes on the phone so I can try and go from clueless to knowing a little bit? And got a couple people on the phone with me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because sometimes people are like, I don't know anyone. And there's so many ways to reach people and to get the information that you desire. Oh, I wanted to talk about that because I know that you got into real estate and that has given you even greater financial freedom, which a lot of people will be like, okay, you got into e-commerce with the planner, and then tell me the thinking behind that move.
Yeah. So my planner business, I've been blessed that it's worked, but it's a little more cyclical, good times, bad times. And real estate is just very tried and true. It's a very safe asset to put your money in. Now, I really enjoy the process of finding these deals and making the processes to run them. So I was excited about it, but it is really helpful to have both businesses. I've gone many times where one business will lend the other money, or the other business, like sometimes I'll be launching a new initiative with my Goal Crazy business, and I'll borrow money from my rental properties so to fund it. It's better to borrow money from myself, who's free to borrow from, than a lender. Or there's been other times I want to go buy a rental property and I don't have enough money in my real estate checking account, so I borrow from my e-commerce business. But there's something really helpful about having both of those. But I would tie this back to the dream driven. Like, I love it, but if real estate isn't going to fuel you with energy, then I would find another investment. But I would highly recommend finding an investment strategy that you're passionate about, because otherwise, as you start making money, the first temptation is to go spend it. But when you have this investment opportunity that you really like, you start to think more about those purchases. Do I really need a new car yet? Or I could take this and put it into another real estate deal, and now I have enough income to pay me again and again every month forever. But I think it's really helpful to have something you're passionate about.
That's a really key thing. Like you said, the temptation is to live up a little bit, reward your success. Yeah. But like you said, business is cyclical. There are business cycles, there are ups and there are downs. And these are the realities that sometimes people don't speak about. And having that investment that gives you greater financial freedom. And I like that you said you become your own lender.
Yeah, it's easy. And I would say what was in the back of my head with the rental properties too is me and my wife, we dream of having a lot of kids and a big family. And I knew that once we had our first kid, I wanted my wife to be able to quit her job. And there was a lot of peace of mind by the time that came to be like, look, we don't even have to think twice about this. You can quit your job because we have enough passive income coming from those rental properties that we can get by if we need to, even if my Goal Crazy business tanks, which added so much confidence to go into it. And because of my kids, I become so much more successful. They've never been an obstacle to me trying to achieve my business dreams. I would say they're one of the biggest reasons where I am in my life right now.
Great. So many nuggets. So thank you for sharing that. Jason, please tell me what's exciting you right now personally and as you look out into the marketplace.
What's newest on my horizon is my book just got published this past Tuesday, so 2 days ago. So that's been really exciting. Been working on that for a year and a half. And what's next on my horizon is within the next 2 years, I would like to start hosting my own conferences. I've gone to tons of conferences over the years, and I feel like I would like to start hosting my own is hopefully something next on my horizon.
Congratulations on the book, and that's very exciting, and I'm excited that that's where you're going. I'd love for you to give us a last minute, a look back, roadmap, the building of the brand, the Goal Crazy brand.
Yeah, started with a planner, and then it turned into workshops, then coaching programs, there's maybe the podcast, somewhere in there, and then the book.
Thank you for that. I think people who are listening, who are entrepreneurs going through that are like, okay, that's the building of a brand. What is it that you want to be known for, Jason? What is it that you're trying to do in the marketplace?
I'm going to answer that question in 2 ways. I would say there's the marketplace and really what I'm after in my personal life. But in the marketplace is I want to show people that you can do this. I had this golden ticket to success that many people would kill to have this opportunity to become a car dealership. And I left it. My family didn't give me money. I just left the opportunity and I was able to figure it out. And I'm not a genius. There's a lot of other people out there who are, and I'm not one of them. And I want to be able to show somebody like, look, you don't need to come from necessarily a wealthy family or have this family business. Like I had those, I left them, and I was able to figure this out. You can do it too. But I would say on a personal note, greatest thing I think I'll ever do with my life is be the father to my kids. So if I can do that well, I will be proud of myself, and I feel like my businesses are what's making that possible. Hopefully I'm doing a good job there. My kids can answer that in a number of years. But they're giving me a lot of freedoms that hopefully make it more possible.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm excited to hear that. And I'm so grateful to be able to speak to you like this because helping people chase their dreams, that's a wonderful thing to do. So thank you so much. To the audience, please, if you can go to goalcrazy.com/idea. That's GOAL, goalcrazy.com/idea. You can download Jason's free guide to discover your dream business idea. And we look forward to the conferences. If you can tune into his podcast, just let them know the name.
Yes. Podcast is Goal Crazy, and that's goal like a soccer goal. My book is Dream Driven. So if they're curious about this, check that out. But that website URL you gave, goalcrazy.com/idea, that's a free course that the goal of it is to help you find the business idea that will light a fire inside of you. Because I believe once you find that, everything else gets easier. It gives you the confidence to leave your job, to validate your business idea in the marketplace, to take all the action that you need to launch it, to get mentors. all of it, but you need an idea that'll fuel all of the courageous behavior. And that course can help you find it.
That's a great mission, to have a whole lot of people fired up with their dreams and pursuing them. I'd love to meet a whole bunch of people who are on fire for something.
There we go.
Amazing.
We can make it.
Thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate having you on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for this opportunity.